Well, NiMET is predicting thunderstorms and rain between now and Friday. It's only day one, and we experienced flash floods earlier today in Lagos. The big question is, what must we do differently? Environmental expert Desmond Majekodumi, thank you for staying the course on the program this evening. Like many cities in Africa, they say we are sinking at a rate of more than 10 millimeters per year. And that's more than twice the global average. In fact, IPCC is saying that sea level rise is projected to displace 2 million people in Lagos by 2050. How prepared is the state? And what do you think we must do? What adaptation strategies must we begin to put in place?
This is a very, very pertinent and extremely important question, because the reality is exactly that. The seas are rising. When water heats up, it expands, okay? And the oceans all over the world are heating up. And then you have massive amounts, continental ice sheets that are melting. So yes, but we've shown that they can be a way of protecting. For instance, the Eco-Atlantic, where we almost lost Bar Beach in entirety to erosion and water rise. The Eco-Atlantic has been very well protected, but that protection needs to continue all the way down our coast, all the way down the Nigerian coast, and in different parts of Lagos, because we have lagoons, we have a lot of water bodies coming into Lagos. But the technology is available to ensure that we can protect, that is, we can adapt. However, it's going to take a lot of money. And that's why I said we are working very, very hard in sensitizing the international community, where there are some people that are very sensitive to what's going on, unlike in the past where they were trying to ignore it. But now you cannot ignore this reality. It's an inconvenient truth, but it's a truth. That what the industrialized world has done to the atmosphere is causing this problem. And it can no longer be allowed to continue in this way. So reparation funds must be made available, and we're working towards that. Billions of dollars will be made available to nations that are vulnerable, nations like Nigeria, who really didn't add very much to the problem, even though we are now. We are becoming more part of the problem than part of the solution. But that money must be used effectively, because we're dealing with forces that are far greater than us. We're dealing with nature, the cosmic force, which she gives you back whatever you sow. And this applies in the physical, it applies in the metaphysical. Every scripture that is worthy of being called a scripture, from the Holy Bible to the Holy Quran, to the Bhagavad Gita, to the Jewish sutras, is very, very clear about that God is not mocked. Whatsoever you sow, you shall reap. And this is the awesome responsibility of leadership, that you can make a decision, and that decision can affect millions of people. Oh Lord, have mercy on your soul. You better be sure that that decision is a good decision and it's implemented in the right way. So I believe we have all it takes to protect ourselves. The technology is there.
With industrialization comes the burden, of the things you're highlighting, because we're talking about climate change, rising temperatures and sea levels. But for Lagos, how can we balance economic development with environmental sustainability? Because, we like to mention industrial world. We're fast industrializing here too. We're encroaching into the sea. What must we do differently to mitigate these impacts?
Yes, well, clean energy, clean energy, clean energy. We have to do that, and we have a lot of what it takes to have the clean energy. We've got a long coastline. We have steady wind blowing. There's some fantastic wind energy systems we can put all along our coastline that shall give us the clean energy. And of course, we have abundance of sunshine. And also, as I referred to earlier, there's some very pragmatic moves coming out of the Lagos State Ministry of Agriculture. And they are really looking at urban farming and, of course, aquaculture. We're a water city. So there's so much that we can do with different types of aquaculture. By now, we should be exporting our aquatic products to different parts of the world. And also because we have so much wonderful variety of ethnicity, so we have a lot of different ideas, different nuances coming in here. There are a lot of foreign people here as well. And when we blend all this together, definitely Lagos will show the world that she is a city of excellence, because we have excellent people here that can perform tremendously well. But we must do it in the right way and not allow evil temptations to distract us and to bring curses upon us and even onto our generations on board. I really, really have a lot of confidence that Lagos is rising, and Lagos is showing the whole world that she is actually a city of excellence who can, continue to develop her industries, different types of industries, not to mention the IT industry in Lagos. We have a lot of sharp young people who really, once they're given the chance. But again, we can't have the kind of situation that we're seeing, where schools are just neglected. There's a school just down the road from me. Come on, where can you imagine? The children have to come to the school with plastic because when it rains, the roof is leaking. It's an embarrassment. This is not the Lagos that we know. This is not the Lagos that we are proud of. And those kind of things will change, definitely, because we have the right people who now have the right consciousness that they are in a position to do the right thing in the right way. Otherwise, consequences will always come.
Well,
so,
I guess we have to count on that really hard. But as we speak now, we have to deal with flooding. They say community engagement is crucial to that. How do you think government and stakeholders can involve residents in flood risk reduction and adaptation efforts, especially in the suburbs?
Yes, well, definitely the wrongs of the past cannot be repeated. And, I'm somebody who's very, very familiar with the whole of the Lekki terrain. I've been, coming here, I developed a farm in the Lekki area almost over 35 years ago. So I'm familiar with this terrain. And it's a mangrove terrain. It's a place that you have to deal with very, very delicately. And over the years, over the past few decades, there's been all sorts of developments, all sorts of sand filling that's been going on, which has really been upsetting this terrain. And these developments have been done in areas that I'm sure there was not genuine approval for. They couldn't have been. And, this has to stop. This is kind of nonsense. How can you build places? How can you develop a place where you don't even have the genuine approval to do? And as a result of doing that, you cause all kinds of harm and hardship to people, even death, to especially the more vulnerable ones, because of the flooding. You have to be very, very careful when you're doing developments in a place like the Lekki axis of Lagos and some of the other areas of Lagos that are more low-lying. You have to work with nature and not against nature, because nature won't take that. If you're going to be blocking the natural drains and natural stream, you're going to have floods.
But with this blocked drainage, I don't know how you're reacting to the renewed call for environmental sanitation. Recall that a legal practitioner was in court to, that case was won in court as to why should you stop everyone from going out? But do you think drastic measures like they say, or situations like this is calling for drastic measures in that regard?
Yeah, I think possibly we might have to revert back to that, but only as one of the drastic measures that need to be taken. It's obvious that there needs to be a far more intensified awareness call. There needs to be far more awareness to the general public, particularly to the young ones, to the schools. This is something that we are doing in our community. We're going around to the schools. We're talking to the children. We're talking to the teachers and telling them that, look, this is actually, your life is being put at risk if you're doing the wrong thing to the environment. And, the way we put it to the youngsters is we ask them, can you think of slapping your mama? And they say, no, you dare not. You want to slap an African mama, a Nigerian mama, forget it. Then we tell them, well, Mother Nature is the ultimate mama, and we're slapping her by doing these wrong things, not using our waste in the way that we're supposed to be using our waste. There has to be far more intensive awareness. And that's what I like about, media stations like this and the other media stations. They have to dedicate a lot more airtime. And there has to be a lot more activity coming from the various tiers of government that are responsible for putting their awareness out. The Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Information, they need to be far more intensive awareness campaigns. And then maybe, that whole thing, maybe for 6 months or something, it's unfortunate that you have to actually force people to stay home and clean.
Indeed.
But if that's what it is, then it's got to be done.
Well, I like the way you humanize Mother Nature, and I think it passes the message quite well. But that's our time. Environmental expert Desmond Madia Kodubi, thank you so much for talking to us.
My pleasure.
Well, we're looking ahead, and we're asking what legacy